different. As you can tell by the little title of my video, and the tape I put into the machine, you will tell that this is my 100 subscriber special. As a little YouTuber, I never thought I'd get this far. So thank you all for subscribing to my channel and keeping this going as well as you can. So, as a way to commemorate the 100 subscriber special, I figured I'd do an A.M.A. sort of thing. However, this is going to be a little difficult since this is YouTube. So I figure I'll take a few questions, and then the rest I'll answer in the comments. So, let's start with the first question. One day I was cleaning out my older brother's garage at his house. Found this really old Panasonic TV, probably about the mid-80s. It was in color, had knobs all over it, kind of similar to the one that I'm in now, actually. So basically I asked him, does that thing still work? And he's just like, I don't know, you can try it out if you want. So then I spent the next 10-15 minutes just kind of jumbling all the knobs, trying to figure out how this thing is supposed to work. Then all of a sudden, poof, worked flawlessly. I never thought I could get that kind of picture out of a little dinky old-fashioned thing like that. A few months passed, and then I tried to find one of my own. I tried to maybe find one that was in black and white, similar to what you have here. Stumbled upon this one at a garage sale for $5. And from there, I tried to test it out the same way. I thought it was going to take forever to get the knob configurations and everything, but I just turned it on, and it worked flawlessly. And being an old black and white television, I thought the picture looked amazing. So then, later on, I invited a few friends over, and I wanted to show them the magic of this TV. And they were just like, whoa, this is a pretty good picture. In fact, I was surprised as well. So then, as an interesting idea, one of my friends had a camera on his phone. He basically said, hey, why don't I take a few pictures of this and show it to Reddit? And I was just like, sure, why not? It took off really well. A lot of people were really interested in this TV. Then I started reading through the comments. One of the top comments was, I would love to see a show of this. And I thought to myself, I always kind of thought a Let's Play show was kind of interesting. Let's do it. And then it just went from there. And that is the story of my ancient TV. If my t-shirt can't tell you, then I guess I won't say it. This is a show I only recently discovered. It was something I saw when I was 4 years old, a very long time ago, but I can never remember the name of it. Of course, it didn't help. I would go up to people and say, hey, you have any idea what the name of that show is? It's like Pokemon, but isn't. And obviously the main reaction was, huh? Then in about 2012, I asked a friend, and he was just like, are you talking about Digimon? And I'm just like, name sounds familiar. Let me take a look. So then I look it up on Netflix. Boom. I've been hooked ever since. Well, that would have to go to Perfect Dark. The way I like to say it is GoldenEye was just a little before my time. It's a game I have played completely to death. Nothing is surprising about it anymore. It definitely was a good game at one time, but I just know the whole game inside and out. And then, there was the spiritual successor, Perfect Dark. This is a game that not only rekindled the original spirit of GoldenEye, but also made it fresh and new. And I like the idea it wasn't an exact sequel, because that probably would have gotten as boring as the original GoldenEye did for me. This is a game I will pop in every so often, and every time I'll have a good smile on my face. Especially for the Combat Simulator, that is the greatest. Well, my favorite movie goes to Castle in the Sky. It's a movie by Studio, I say Ghibli, others say Ghibli, I don't know. It's by, I want to say his name is Hayao Miyazaki. I hope I'm saying that right. I really don't want to butcher this amazing man's name. So you may be wondering, why is this your favorite? First thing, I am a sucker for traditional animation. Early works by Disney, Cuphead, A.M.A, if you want to consider this anime. I will get it wherever I can. And not only that, but I love the story, I love the characters, and I just love the overall presentation. It's an amazing movie. Now, Castle in the Sky is my overall favorite movie, but if you were to ask me what's probably my favorite real-life, epic, classic movie, that would have to go to Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, that probably sounds like a cop-out answer, doesn't it? But the way I see it, these are the major classic movies that I've seen. It's a Wonderful Life, which I think everybody has seen around Christmas time at this point. Gone with the Wind, I was actually a pretty big fan of that, although it is kind of a tragic story in the end. But not as tragic as Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur, I will acknowledge, is a great movie, but I'd compare it to Schindler's List. It's just emotionally charring that watching it once is just about all you need to do. And the other classic movie next to Lawrence of Arabia would have to be Casablanca. I honestly don't get the point. I found it to be a very boring movie. The only two things I remember, well, actually there's a few things I remember about it. Here's looking at you, kid. I still have no idea what Humphrey's supposed to be saying whenever he says that. The other thing would also have to be Peter Lorre's performance. He's just a good actor in my opinion. It just looks like he has fun, and I love that interesting accent of his. And then the other thing, there's a pickpocket around town who's known for stealing wallets from everyone. This one person who's lived in Casablanca for a while accidentally rubs up against this one guy, and then after he notices the pickpocket, he just starts going, trying to wonder where his wallet is. And then he finds it, so then there's no problem. So, out of all those epic movies, why Lawrence of Arabia? I'm not really sure. I think maybe it's the setting, it's the way it's shown. It definitely has some really good acting, that's another thing. Oh, that was another one I forgot to mention. The Ten Commandments, that was another epic movie I've seen. A good favorite for around Easter time, but there's just something about the acting. It just seems a little overmuch, kind of like they're in a soap opera. Probably the best way I can describe it is if a person is just like, whoa, what is that for there? Something really interesting. Well, I feel like in Lawrence of Arabia it'd be more like, they would just look, they wouldn't say. The music would take care of the rest. That's another good thing about this movie. The musical score. That's about all I can say to it. I might talk more about it in the comments, but since this is the top of my head, I can only think of so much at once. So for the critics that say I'm a hipster, I strive to be the kind of person that makes the normal hipster go, whoa, what a hipster. For example, I'm not sure the average hipster would know what in the world a capacitance electric disc is. Yeah, did you have any idea that movies at one time came on records? It's the weirdest thing. You essentially insert this thing into the machine, and then this casing comes out, and then it plays the movie on a record. I yet to find a player, but these are really good set pieces. I mean, they're almost like miniature posters. And if you ever hold one of these things, it's like holding a block of wood. It's so well built. I love it. I hope with all these video games and all this electronics, you wouldn't think I forgot about one other thing. What is your favorite book? Well, I'm going to cop out and say several. The works of J.R.R. Tolkien. You got The Hobbit. Yeah, my copy doesn't have a cover, but whatever. The Fellowship of the Ring. The Two Towers. And Return of the King. Now, you may be thinking, another cop-out answer, just like Lawrence of Arabia. Well, I like fantasy, and I never really knew that until I did this. For the most part, I'm a fan of classic books, the works of, say, John Steinbeck, Robert Louis Stevenson, things you probably would have read in English class, maybe Mark Twain, that's another good one right there. However, I never really got that much into fantasy. I read mostly historical fiction, maybe nonfiction every so often. And this was just amazing. I can definitely tell you that if this book series was not as well hailed as it was, I'm pretty sure Tolkien would have been committed for being completely insane. One thing I always like to point out is at the end of Return of the King, this much is the story, and this much is the lore. Family trees, alphabets, basic wars, timelines, a lot of ridiculous stuff, which I consider that really amazing. There's the alphabet. But I can definitely say that that would have been considered insane if he wasn't an author. In fact, maybe just as another fun thing, I'm pretty sure it's in this one, the map of Middle-earth. It's just a nice subtle touch, and I like how if you look closely they kind of say key events, like this is where Frodo fell, this is where Mount Doom is, that's where they go to drop off the ring, all that stuff. This was just a fun series of books, and I really lucked out finding these at the Salvation Army. All three of them for under a quarter. Yeah, if you're gonna get into books, go to a thrift store. It's just ridiculously cheap. And plus, you're not really gonna get cover work like this at Barnes & Noble's. It's a lot more boring now. So that is my little A.M.A. special for the 100 subscribers. Once again, thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate it. It's nice to know that these videos are being watched by somebody other than myself and my little circle of friends that I started the show out to begin with. Once again, this is all off the top of my head, so there's probably a lot of flubs I had to edit out in case you're wondering why all the cuts every so often. And also, because this is on the top of my head, there are a few things I probably forgot to mention, so feel free to leave a comment and I will get to you as well as I can. And plus, there are several questions that are left unanswered. This is what I will say for now. I will not answer my political affiliation. I may answer a few questions on religion, but that's just about it. Any personal information for obvious reasons, stay clear of. I'd rather you not know my real name, my credit card number, social security number, address, all that interesting stuff. So, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and who knows, maybe I'll be making a 200 sub video in the future. Until next time, keep having fun.